about herself in a book.
Okay. My name is Louisa Scarr. I am the author of Last Place You Look, which came out a couple of weeks ago in ebook, out on the 6th of May in paperback. So Last Place You Look is the beginning of a new crime series featuring two detectives, so DS Robin Butler and DC Fair West, and it begins as they investigate a man found dead in a hotel room, seemingly alone, seemingly a victim of a sex act gone wrong. But of course, with any good crime book, nothing is as it seems, not even the detectives. And there are lots of secrets and lots of things to find out, really. So yeah.
And you're with Canelo, right?
Yeah, Canelo Crime, yeah.
How do you find being with Canelo?
How do I find
Canelo in our group?
Straight into it. How do I find being Canelo? Great. They're really fast. So I was with a traditional publisher before. So I got used to sort of the speed that a traditional publisher works at, and then I joined Canelo, and everything is like super fast, which suits me because I write very fast. So no, they're fantastic. My editor's great. She might be on here, so I have to say that, but I would say that anyway. Yes, they've been really great, really welcoming, and I'd just like to meet them because I signed the contract in the middle of the lockdown, so I've never actually met them. It's all been done on Zoom, and so it would be nice to actually meet them in person. But yeah.
So you were with a traditional publisher before?
Yeah.
Were you writing crime with them as well, or were you writing in a different genre?
No, my first book was a sort of speculative psychological thriller, and then from there I wrote a police procedural, which turned into like and then there was a follow-on. Oh, there we go. Ian Miller's just commented we are watching. So it was basically crime, and then I just got into writing it and just realized that I really enjoyed it. So off I went, really.
When we were filming the promo, you were showing me your boards with all the post-it notes on and telling me a bit about your planning. Do you want to tell everyone about that?
Yeah, I've stupidly taken, I had a whole book. This is my whiteboard, as you can see. I had a whole book on it, and I finished working on it on Friday and took the whole book off to make way for the new one, which has gone up. So let me show you a card. It's not a very representative. But essentially, every card is one chapter, and I have different colours depending on which point of view, who is the chapter about, and who's the point of view the chapter's from. And then these little tags, don't read anything into it. This isn't the book. These little tags are the evidence, and they all link to different streams of evidence. I guess that's so. There's lots of different colours of. So yeah, and then it all goes up on the board, and I like the physical nature of it. I've tried doing it on a screen on a spreadsheet, but yeah, I like doing it so you have it all on the screen in front of you. And then you can see if you've got how it's flowing, if you've got the distribution right. So if there's too much green, for example, you think, well, actually that's quite a lot of Robin. And you can shift it around, and then you can see where all the turns take place. So where the part one goes to part two, and how far that is in. And yeah, but I shouldn't have taken it down. I forgot we had tonight. Although I should have left it up. Sorry about that.
No, it's fair enough. It's just a really interesting way of planning things out. I don't know that I've seen it sort of so intricate before.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how people could write crime without having something similar. I know a lot of people use Post-its, but I found the Post-its fell off. So I use, these are little index cards with blue tack stuck on them, and then they stay up. But yeah, I mean, crime books are too complicated, I think, to be able to write one without. Oh well, people do, I'm sure, but I can't. I need the prompt in front of me.
We have some authors in the group who completely pants writing crime books. So Sheila Butler, she's a fellow Canelo author.
Yeah.
Complete pantser.
I
have no idea how.
I wrote the first draft, sort of. I know the story, but I sort of just, that is a bit more pantsing, so I just sort of just go. But then the end result is normally such a confusing mess that I have to start doing that. So this you can see is a book that's sort of halfway through. So it's not, well, you'd hope it's halfway through. There's not enough book there. Yeah, so then I have to plan. But I can't, some people I know plan from the very beginning and have a whole book mapped out. But the story doesn't, I don't find the story comes until I start typing. And then it sort of finds its way. And my brain starts working and it all starts gelling together.
Do you keep details somewhere else about your characters?
I have a big spreadsheet that has all of their just stuff from their birthdays to hair color, their build, mannerisms, accent, where they went to university, where their parents are buried. It's all in there because you forget. And if you're writing a series, and this one's going to be 5 books, you kind of think, oh no, I've forgotten where Robin's mother's buried and when she died. So I have another one that has all the timeline on it as well. So when she died, when all the significant dates. But yeah, you have to. I think I have to.
Fair enough. So what's it been like bringing out a book sort of during lockdown? Because you wouldn't have had a traditional kind of publication kind of launch party.
I've never had a launch party. This will be my 4th book, and I've never had a launch party. I've never actually. I went out for a dinner once, but no. So to be honest, it feels like a normal publication day, and it's especially quite nice actually because it's come out an ebook, and obviously bookshops were shut when it came out, but that doesn't matter because it was an ebook. So that was quite nice because you didn't have that to worry about. So actually, I haven't found it that different, and I spend a lot of time hiding in my study. So I just carried on through lockdown, and that was fine. So yeah.
What about like the marketing aspect of writing? How do you find that?
I don't really do it. So I must admit, I'm in awe of anybody that can self-publish, because the sales and marketing stuff, I find, I know social media and how to use social media, and I do use it, but the ins and outs of marketing and sales and PR, and it's a mystery to me. So I would much rather leave it to the people that know. Which is what Canelo's particularly, which they're especially good at. They know how this stuff works, and I'd rather dedicate my time to writing books and then talking about them. But the actual, marketing and so forth, I don't know. I'm not very good at it. Social media, I tend to sort of, my social media is just me writing and running and a dog. That's about it. The dog, yeah. That's it.
That's all good though.
I'm sure there should be things I should be doing, and somebody's probably looking at it going, oh my God, what's she doing? But yeah, I'm not a very particularly interesting person beyond writing, reading, running, dog. That's about it.
So Samantha wants to know what's been the biggest thing you've learned from writing the 4 books.
Biggest thing. I think it's more the sort of stage. I guess that that I can write a book, because I think you get to a point when you're sort of maybe halfway through, when the vision of the book that you have in your head is so far away from. So to take this one for example, I have a vision of what that book's going to look like, but it's so far away from what's actually on the page. It's slightly, you could freak yourself out by it. So I think knowing that you've been there before and you have managed to write the book that was in your head is reassuring. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I've learned, and perfecting what works for me to a bit of an art. Because in the beginning I was sort of using post-it notes and I used to use the floor, and then eventually I sort of found that this works the best. So yeah, I guess that was the biggest thing I've learned from it.
Fair enough. Would you be tempted to sort of write short stories or like spin-off stories from your series?
Possibly. I've never really tried. I wrote a few short stories in the beginning. I tend to get a bit bogged down in complexity and story, and so I'd have to really control myself, I think, if I was writing a short story, because I'd want to. It would expand, and suddenly it would become 90,000 words. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. If somebody asked me to, I wouldn't rule it out. I'd probably give it a go and try to get a bit more art in it. But I like writing. The way I write is quite suited to 90,000 words. I get quite into it, quite into the characters.
So tell us a little bit more about the characters in The Last Place You Look.
Robin. So it's Robin Butler and sorry, I got distracted by a comment, which is why I paused. I do remember her name. And Freya West. So Robin is a bit of a typical man in quite a lot of ways. He's quite quiet, quite insular, quite unemotional. We meet him at not a great time in his life. He's experienced quite a lot of personal tragedy, and his way of reacting to that has not been to seek help, but has been to sort of shrink in to himself and to shut down to a certain extent. So I really like Robin because he's very self-contained. He doesn't need external validation. He sort of just plods on in his little life the way he's wanted to. But into this comes Freya, who is quite an extrovert, chatty sort of woman, and she doesn't really listen to his bluff. She just gets on with it, takes the piss out of him, and I think she's what he needs really to sort of pull him out. And together they make a good team. I think she's a lot more personable. She people like her, and people don't necessarily like Robin when they first meet him. Although I really like Robin. Robin arrived very much fully formed on the page. So Robin's been very easy to write. I like dark, slightly disturbed, slightly depressed men, I think, on the page, not in real life. in books, I like that sort of character. And Robin's definitely one of those. And, there's no point in writing a male character if you're not going to fall in love with them a little bit, I think.
So my next question would be, if you were going to take one of them out for a pint, which would you choose? And it sounds like Robin's going to be.
No, it would probably be, if he was going to go out for a pint, it would probably be Freya, because I think if you went out with a pint for Robin would just sit there in silence, and it would just be this awful, awkward evening. I'd much rather go out for a pint with Freya. She'd be a lot more fun, I think. Definitely.
I like Ian's comment about blue tack rather than post-its.
I know, that's what distracted me. That's why I stopped, because I was reading it. I was distracted by my boss.
He said he would go out for a pint with Freya as well.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Well, it's like she's in demand.
Well, I think she's a lot more attractive as well. I think Robin, I'm looking there because that's where I have the pictures of him. Robin is attractive, but I think he's not. And then you've got Freya, who's like, she is described quite a lot as being sort of pretty and blonde, and she's a lot more pleasant. She's a lot more pleasant to be around, I think.
Do you have pictures of what you think they would look like?
Yeah, there. Yeah, so I've got a whole row with them, actually, because there's a few books on the go, and there's a whole row of different characters from different books. Robin's that there. Whenever I have a character, I always imagine them as some sort of actor. I mean, this is obviously for artistic purposes. So they're always an actor from some sort of film, and then I'll I'll dedicate myself to the cause and sit down and watch all of the back catalogue of that actor, much to my long-suffering husband's joy. So Robin is actually Sam Worthington. So if you've ever seen anything by Sam Worthington, I have seen it all with Sam Worthington, and his terrible American accent. But yeah, he's here. I'll turn him around, turn the computer around. There he is. There's Robin and Fred.
So would they then be, if there was a TV deal made of your book, are they who you would like to play them? You've already got in your head who you would like.
Yeah, definitely. So Sam would definitely play Robin. Freya is a little bit of a problem because it's Anna Torv, and Anna Torv is a little bit older now than Freya is. So it would be young Anna Torv. That's who's in the picture. But yeah, you'd have to find another pretty blonde, attractive woman. I'm sure there's
How do you find the research for a police procedural? Do you have like police experts and things that you talk to?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So before I was an author, I just started out and discovered that obviously when you write anything close to crime, you kill someone, and there's always a cop that shows up. And I was walking my son to school, so my son was 5 at the time, and it was his first day at school. And I was walking down the path, and this guy joined me with his daughter, and his daughter was in the same class. And we started talking, and I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm a copper." So immediately I was like, you are my new best friend. And actually he is. So we talk quite a lot. He tells me about everything cop related, takes me through, how to investigate crimes, from little stuff like you pick up jargon. I pick up a lot of jargon from American TV series, and and I'll send him a text and say, "Is this American?" And he'll go, "Yeah, that's American. This is the British." So you have to try and get that right, and he's really good for that. But then he'll take me through, like, he's done it all, so he'll take me through a procedure, and these are very good. Actually, I got them down from my shelf, but I've got the wrong one. Oh, this is very good. So Blackstone's Police Manual. So any copper who's doing a exam reads this. And this tells you basically what you're going to charge people with. So, what sort of murder, what sort of everything. So yeah, between Dan and this, I sort of got it all covered. And then from a medical point of view, I have a friend who's a doctor, and he ruthlessly red pens everything I write from a medical point of view to get it right. Because, if you're going to murder people, they end up in hospital, and then you have to make sure that you don't kill them. So the questions I ask both Dan and Matt are ridiculous questions, but they both just answer them without blinking.
So Sam asked, is it difficult to weave strands together, including red herrings and hiding things in plain sight?
If I didn't have the wall, possibly, yeah. I don't find it too hard. I think because you can plot it out in that sort of way, then it gets quite clear in my head where all the different things would fall into the book, and then you can make sure that they're in the right places. If I didn't, that's why I need the wall for. If I didn't have it, I think it would be really tricky. But then again, knowing if things are obvious or not obvious, that's when giving it to your editor and having them look over it and then saying, actually, that is obvious or that is not. So yeah, I sort of got used to it, and yeah, it's okay now, I think.
So do your friends and sort of friendly experts that you use, have they read the book when it's finished?
I'm not sure. I think Dan's read a few. I don't think Matt's read any. So no, probably not. Don't know. They are very busy people. I think that's probably the best excuse I'm going to use for it. But they are incredibly busy people, and I think Dan's read them. I give them to them, but whether they read them or not, I don't know. But yeah, if I've got anything wrong, they don't tell me. I don't. I ask them not to tell me.
Fair enough.
I'm sure there's a lot I've got wrong. Yeah.
I was just thinking there's some interesting choices that sort of Freya and Robin make. I don't know what an actual police officer would think.
No, I mean it's hideously unrealistic because they wouldn't. I do have another friend actually. He works in the police force, and I ask him some questions, but he is a real stickler for procedure. So he just kind of goes, "No, they wouldn't do it. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen." I'm like, "Yeah, but what if? What if it did? It has to happen because that's how the plot works. So what if?" And he just can't get his head. He can't get his head around it. Bless him. So I generally go back to Dan and say, "Dan, how would you do that?" And he goes, "You just do a bit of that." But yeah, I mean, I think you have to suspend your disbelief when you read a lot of, especially mine, when you read a lot of these cop, because otherwise they'd just be boring. I think you have to make them interesting. You have to make them interesting. Otherwise, it just gets So.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the person who's writing them as well. So you might expect more from like an ex-police person writing a book than you would someone who hasn't. So I'm thinking like the Bridgestocks, right, for Canello.
Yeah.
And they both worked for the police. And they are like really police procedural based. So everything is really correct in their books, but you would expect it to be.
You'd hope so.
Yeah. They like consulted on Happy Valley and things.
I'm a bit more interested in the stories and the characters, I think, than I like to get it right so it's not glaringly wrong, or glaringly taking the mick. But equally, I don't want to. I think the story and the characters are more interesting than police procedure. But that's just I've got a few other experts that help out as well. So I know a blood spatter expert. She helps out. Who else is there? Pharmacist, because you have to get your drugs right. What else is there? And this latest one, so book 2 of the Butler and West, that's based in a storm. So I had to get, I've got 2 friends that are meteorologists, so they had to check all of my storm meteorology stuff, which I was getting hideously wrong. I was just like, I don't understand it. I don't understand meteorology. Please just correct this. And they just took it away and made sure it was right. But so it's sort of lots of people help.
So Sam's asking, do you have any resources that you'd recommend for writers? So she's at the start of her writing journey. She's got 1 short published.
Sorry, say that again.
Sam's kind of at the start of her writing journey. She's had 1 short story published.
Oh, okay, cool. Writers in general or crime writers?
Crime writers.
Crime. So the first thing I would say is read a lot of crime novels, but read them with more of a sort of scientific slant. So have a look at, when you're reading it, think how it's broken up and how the authors constructed it, and how it's done, which ruins the experience of reading a little bit. But yeah, that I think helps, because then you start to get an idea of how it works. Blackstone's is very useful, and actually this book, which is ridiculously expensive and very small, if you've got the stomach for it, this is a really good, you can tell I've used it a lot because it's got post-its on it. It's basically about pathology. So if somebody dies, I won't show you the pictures, and how they've died and the medical stuff behind it. I don't know how to explain it. So it's basically what the pathologist says in the mortuary. Some other good books, Save the Cat books are really good in terms of fee structure. If you want to sort of look at how a novel is structured. I mean, it's written for a screenplay, but it works for a novel. And then Wired for Story was particularly good. I thought that was a good one as well. So those books I think are good. But I think you just have to love the genre and just be really interested in what it's all about. And yeah, I just killing people in new, interesting ways, I think is fun. You got I get fun out of writing it, and I think then it comes across on the page. I just hope that the reader will get as much fun out of reading it as I do writing it.
So who are your go-to crime authors? If you like to read in the genre a lot,
yeah, I love anything Jane Harper writes. I think she's brilliant. I read We Begin at the End recently. That was brilliant. Trying to think what else. Susie Steiner's great. Eva Dolan, Mari Hanna. Trying to think of the others. All the classics. All the classic ones. As soon as they come out, I read them. I've recently got into Gillian McAllister as well. She writes. They're not police procedurals, but they're. I think she writes really well. I really enjoyed. I've been starting hers, and I need to start reading. I want to read Joseph Knox is next on my list. So I haven't read any of his, and I think they'd probably be worth reading. So yeah, those are my go-to ones.
Every time someone mentions We Begin at the End, I plug this, but we had an amazing author chat between Chris Whitaker and Sheila Butler.
Oh, okay.
About We Begin at the End, and Sheila's writing, and it is so worth watching. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm late. I'm always late to any books that come out, so I'm always about a year behind everybody else. So it came out last year, didn't it? And I only just read it, and everyone was like, "Yeah, it'll be amazing," and I was like, "Really?" And then I read it. I was like, "Yeah, it's fun. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic."
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, you haven't read it yet? Oh no, you should read it. Definitely read it. It's brilliant.
Samantha watching this will know as well, because she's like my partner in crime for these author chats. But you end up with, because we don't interview anyone that we've not read a book by.
Right.
So if we book you in, we will read something you've written. And then that means that our reading list is essentially just people that we're interviewing.
Well, that's fair enough.
You really get a lot of chance to read sort of things outside of that.
I mean, as I said, I'm always behind. I'm always about a year behind everybody else.
I mean, it can be great. You discover loads of really good new authors.
There's so many good writers out there that there's never enough time to read everything, as much as I'd like. But I just finished. What did I just finish? Oh, The Guest List. That was really good. That came out last year, and everybody's read that except me. That was good as well.
I haven't read that either.
No, okay. I don't feel quite so bad then. But yeah, I just finished that. I got it from the library. But yeah, that was good. That was good as well.
Excellent. I'm reading the newest Peter Robinson book.
I haven't read anything by him.
He's well worth a read.
I'm sure I'll add it to the list. I've always got a massive list. Oh, Cara Hunter. I really like hers as well. I've read most of hers. She's got one out soon. But no, I really like Cara Hunter's books as well.
Yes, I'm saying we have a set reading list and there's no room for deviation, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, well, yeah. You're reading lots of really good books, so yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah, I've read so many good things, and discovered so many new authors that are now have this phrase that I call "shut up and take my money" authors, like people that you would just buy, without seeing the name on the book, without reading the back of the book. You just see their name, and I'm just buying that. And there are so many new authors being added to that from these chats that I'm gonna have even less money.
Yeah, that's the problem. Libraries. That's why libraries are so good.
Yeah. Ian said the start of The Last Place You Look. How was that with making it interesting?
Don't know.
I think he's giving you a nice compliment.
Is he
there.
being nice? Yeah, I don't know, what do you mean? Does he mean the prologue? I guess so.
Yeah.
I like my prologues. I know some people say never write a prologue, but like I love a prologue. So yeah, I seem to write them in every single book.
Someone's saying audiobooks are their way around a lack of time to read. You can read well. I would get distracted by an audiobook. I can't.
I can't focus. I've tried.
Oh, Frozen.
I realise have you lost me?
Ah, you're back again now, I think.
Ah,
maybe. Don't know. Bit
Can you
frozen.
see me?
I can hear you.
No.
Let's try. Oh dear. I may have lost Louisa. So she was saying that the last place you look, which is... Oh? Hello? No, she's gone. Frozen here and glitchy sound. Yeah, I know, Sam. I'm going to try and get her back. So hopefully she'll sign back in very soon. She said the last place you look is currently out in Kindle. If Sam is being kind and watching this, she might drop some links for Louisa's website while we're waiting for her to rejoin. There you go, got you back.
Sorry, I've told my husband to get off the TV, so hopefully we have a bit more bandwidth.
At least we got you back. Are your books on audio?
The first 3 are. Have to ask. I think we're working on Last Place You Look. I think we are planning on doing something, but Ian might know better than me.
Like we've seen with the comment here, there are a lot of our members who do like audio.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's quite a growing medium, isn't it? But no, my first 3 are definitely. I'm not sure this one is. Paperbook is out in May too. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I was just doing a reminder of them being out on Kindle and things while we were waiting for you to come back.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I've kicked my husband off the TV now. He's very grumpy about that. You have to wait off now.
You'll have to apologise for him afterwards. So Sam says, what's been the biggest surprise for you since you started writing?
How much I enjoy it, I think, probably. I thought I would probably like it. But yeah, since I've actually properly started writing books, I think I would cheerfully just spend all my time writing and editing and reading, but I get made to join the real world, and yeah. I'd cheerfully do it all the time. That's probably the biggest surprise. I thought I would like it, but I didn't think I would like it quite as much as I have. And there's no shortage of ideas. Like, I just thought of a new idea for a new book, one that I haven't got time to write, but it's sort of, it takes over, I think, and then you find yourself thinking, oh, okay, yeah, that could happen, and that could happen, and that could happen, and then you have to stop yourself and think, no, I'm not writing this book at the moment. Yeah, I don't think I've really answered the question, but
it's all right. So we've got Louise Cullen commenting. Who's your editor?
Yes, she is.
Yeah. She's waving and saying that she's like.
Oh, okay. Yes. No, she's my. I mean, Louise is one of the people that I haven't met, except over Zoom, and I really look forward to meeting all the Canelo team and Louise and Ian and Fran and everybody. But it's all been virtual, which has been very strange. I think we're due at least a few lunches, getting together, and yeah.
So there is, and while we've got Ian and Louise watching, we can ask this, can't we? There is rumours that Harrogate Crime Writing Festival is going on ahead in July. Do you think that might be a place where there might be a Canelo meetup?
I'm planning on going. So they definitely said it's happening. I've booked a hotel in the hope that it does happen, and then then hopefully I'll see. Yes, somebody just said yes. So I mean, that really looking. I mean, Harrogate is going to be the first crime festival, isn't it? That's actually going to go ahead since this all started. So it's going to be absolute bedlam. It's just going to be just a 4-day. I don't think anyone's going to any talks, are they? I would imagine. But yeah, I've got a hotel booked in the hope that it does go ahead. Definitely.
Excellent. We are planning to go.
Oh, cool. Excellent. This is what I mean. It's just going to be one massive. I mean, I don't drink, so I'm going to be watching everybody else get drunk and laughing at them. But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing everybody again, basically, and hopefully meet some people from Canelo, and yeah, it's going to be good fun. I've told my husband it is work, 4 days of work.
It's like also networking. So what have you got in your mug then?
It's tea. I live off tea. This is some sort of herbal thing. It's all right. But yeah, I pretty much live off tea.
Nice. Mine has gin.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Well, that'll make it go quicker. Yeah.
I said it was like tea. So Louisa said we need a party.
We do.
Ian says there's 7 lunches outstanding. He's counted.
Are they all my lunches? Are they with me? They can't all be with me. I hope so. I can go to 7 lunches. Ed wants to come too, Ian, I'm sure.
Louise is going to be at Harrogate, and several Canelo people are going, which is
excellent. It's going to. I think next time I speak to Louise, we need to sort out exactly what's happening and when. Need to get it all sorted. Make sure we don't miss each other. No, it's going to be good fun.
My dad is saying that he will be there, which is true. My dad is going to be the Harrogate taxi, I think.
Harrogate is just going to be like the actual town is just going to be full of writers and crime people.
It always is at that time of the year. I'm lucky in that I live quite close.
Sorry, I'm just reading Ian's comment. It says he can't afford Ed for 7 lunches. He can come for 2 max. Yeah, that's probably about right. I haven't seen Ed for 2 years. He is my agent, by the way. But yeah, it's going to be good fun.
But yeah, no, it'd be great, and we're planning hopefully to do some like interviews and things. So
okay, cool.
Have to see how that goes. We'll come and visit the Canelo crowd.
Absolutely, yeah, it's going to be good. I've only ever been once before, so I went 2 years ago, I think. I think it can be quite a scary place if you don't know anybody. So when I went, I think I knew like 2 people. But I know a few more this time, so it's going to be a bit more fun.
I think I'm lucky in that I've generally only gone since I've kind of had an admin role in this group. So I've always known like some of the authors and things.
Yeah. And people recognise you, I suppose, and say hello and all that sort of stuff.
I don't think anyone recognises me until now. When we've got like a live video presence, because I hide my social media generally because I'm a teacher.
Yes, so of course.
My Facebook image is just a cartoon and things, so I don't think anyone really knew what I would look like until recently. Thankfully for them. So you obviously think really visually. If you've got like images and things for your characters, would you make a graphic novel version of your book?
I wouldn't, because I can't draw for toffee. If somebody wanted to make a graphic novel version, they're more than welcome to. Yeah, I do see very visually. So when I write a scene, essentially, I'm seeing it as if it was a scene in a film. So it sort of plays out in my head, and then I try to get that onto the page. So knowing what the characters look like, knowing what the places are like. So I often set the books in places I know. So Last Place You Look is sort of Winchester based, with a bit of Southampton thrown in. And so if I can imagine where that is and what that looks like and who the people are, then it's just a matter of getting that onto the page. So yeah, in my head, they translate very well to a graphic novel, but I can't draw at all. I mean, not at all. All my family can. So my grandmother, my grandfather, my mum, they're all very talented artists, and I am not. I have different skills.
That can happen, can't it? My dad's an amazing artist. I can't draw.
I mean, you practice as you would any other skill, I think, and nothing happens just out of thin air, and you study it, and but it's not something that I've ever gravitated towards. I like seeing the words on a page, and I do a bit of photography, and I sort of like that side of things, but writing is what I love. Books, the feel of books, and yeah.
Have you always been a big reader?
Yeah, I don't know what age I learned to read, but yeah, I've always absolutely loved reading. Been happiest in libraries, and I think I'm not sure whether this is actually true or just how it's been relayed to me, but I went on a French exchange. I must have been 13, 14 maybe, and it was French, so they don't go to school on a Wednesday. They go off and do other things, and I just spent the day reading. And my French exchange mother spoke to my teacher and asked if there was anything wrong with me, if I was all right, and I was like, no, I'm quite happy, just reading. So I've always preferred, sitting in a room and reading and having my nose in a book. So yeah. Very much so.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
I can't remember a time I didn't read.
No, nothing better to do when you're out on a party. Sometimes when I was at uni, I used to get to about midnight and then I'd rather just go home and read my book now. So yeah,
chances are I would probably have had a book with me.
Oh, okay, good. That's the next stage. Yeah, next level.
Yeah. I invariably have one about my person. Like,
well, phones.
If I have to leave the house, there's going to be a book.
I have them on my phone now. I have a few ebooks saved on my phone, and yeah. So if I'm ever in, stuck somewhere, there's always a backup.
Exactly. So it's a sound plan. Sam says, can you tell us anything about Under a Dark Cloud yet?
What do you want to know about it? So Under Dark Cloud, I always wanted to write a locked room mystery. And as I mentioned, two of my friends are meteorologists. They're doctors of meteorology, and they are very enthusiastic about storms. And we were just talking one day, and I thought that would make the perfect locked room mystery. So the book begins at the top of a car park in Reading, and two men locked in a van. They get stranded in the van, and at the end of the night, one of them is dead, and the other one can't remember what happened. And it's up to Robin. And the one that's alive happens to be Robin Butler's best friend. So it's up to Robin to find out what happened in that van that night, and essentially save his best friend from being arrested for murder. So I really, yeah, I've been wanting to write this book for about 4 years. So I was really excited when I was like, right, I am writing this locked room mystery now. And yeah, I wrote it very quickly. I loved it, and there's a lot of because obviously we're very early days with Robin and Freya's relationship in Last Place You Look, and I think this book it's about 9 months on, and they've worked together for about 9 months now, and their relationship is that bit more interesting. So they're friends now, and there's always that. I think there's that sort of next level, will they, won't they, sort of relationship between them, and I think that's really interesting. My favorite bits of the book are when they're not really investigating the crime, but when they're just hanging out, just Robin and Freya, and doing and talking, and I think that the book is quite interesting in that respect. I'm not going to say any more than that because there's another 3. So yeah.
Sam says she always has a Kindle app, a book, and writer's forum in her bag, plus notebooks and pens.
It's a heavy bag. Yeah, it would be. Absolutely.
I believe that. My favourite locked room mystery is Scandinavian. It's Anhalt's 1222.
Oh, okay.
It made me think of it when you were saying about a storm, because this is set on like Finse railway station, which is 1222 meters above sea level. It's one of the highest railway stations,
right,
in Norway, and it's like where they filmed the scenes from Hoth in like Star Wars.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And things. So there's like a big snowstorm, and it like traps the train there, which is like really kind of clever. And there's like a murder on the train, and it has to be solved.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look it up. Add it to my list.
Yeah, it's good. I loved it. I've been to the train station, so it was kind of nice to like have read something set there. Sam says, what was the hardest part of writing a locked room mystery and keeping it fresh?
I must admit, I didn't really try. Keeping it fresh wasn't really something that was in my mind. I just sort of, I knew what the setup was, and I knew what the answer was, and I just sort of, I think the answer and the reveal is quite, I don't know. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away. But yeah, it wasn't really in my head about keeping it fresh. I just sort of wanted to tell that story, and I just had an idea of how it would work, and I thought it would work really well. So I just really wanted to write it. And I hope, I must admit, when I'm writing something like that, I deliberately don't read anything like that because of the risk that it will bleed in. So I try to kind of stay away. I don't want to give any. Ian's just written no spoilers. I don't want to give anything away. Yeah, so I think it is a good story.
I like a locked room mystery, so it's a good.
Yeah, I always wanted to write one, so it was a great opportunity to get stuck into it, and I've been desperate to write it for a long time.
I think there's a bit more of that kind of coming back as well.
What, locked room? Yeah, well, I mean, guest list is essentially a locked room, although of course it's a wedding. But yeah, there are a few coming out.
One of my top books from last year was like kind of a good locked room mystery type style.
Yeah, it's fun. I think it's a sort of, you have to make it so how could it possibly be anything else? Yeah.
Don't get no spoilers.
I know, exactly. I'm sort of like, I want to tell people about it. But it's out in October, so you can pre-order it now. I should do my promotional thing. You can pre-order it now. It's out in October.
Louise says it's such a brilliant follow-up. She loves how Robin and Freya develop, and the mystery is very clever, even though I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I always feel a bit sorry for Louise because she reads it knowing what actually the story is, so she can't have that level of surprise. But yeah.
Not everyone objects to that though, do they? Like I will still watch something or read something even if someone spoiled it for me.
Will you? Oh, okay. It depends, I think, how clever the reveal is. So I think if somebody had, so if you take The Silent Patient, for example, which I won't do any spoilers, but I think I really liked the reveal or twist in that. I think if somebody had told me, it wouldn't have been such a good book for me, I think. I won't say.
Fair enough. So I work at school, and you can't, like, there are certain things that, you know, like very popular things that you can't avoid spoilers of. Like if the children have seen it, they will tell you what happens in
Yeah,
detail.
I'm sure.
So if you're going to watch it, like, you're gonna know what happens.
Yeah, so some things I don't mind. I'm trying to think. Endgame, I think. Avengers End. No. I think I watched the first one, Infinity War, knowing what happens, and then we watched Endgame like the week it came out because I was like, I cannot find out. But yeah.
That Endgame was marvelous. I got my really naughty students to behave for quite a while by telling them that I would tell them someone who died.
Oh yeah. You could just threaten to start reeling off people that died.
Like, and some of them I'll make up, but some of them will be real, and you won't know which is which.
Yeah. No, I did. Yeah, I like that.
Louise says she's fine with spoilers, but if you tell Fran Canello, sales director, any spoilers, she will hunt you down and take revenge.
I can believe that. Fran, yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with Fran.
Fair enough. So this is a 5-book series. Would you write any more standalones?
Yeah. Yeah. I like series because I get attached to the characters, as you can tell. And I find finding the characters is the hardest bit about starting a novel because I really need to know who they are and how they're going to react and how they're going to behave. So picking up a new Butler and West is just really easy because I know instantly how Robin will act. I know how Freya will behave. And I find that really hard. But yeah, I would absolutely write. I'd absolutely write a standalone. I'm working on something at the moment, which is a sort of that one, which is a sort of a standalone. But yeah, I do enjoy writing a series. I think, although standalones are good because you don't have to deal with pesky backstory, which I've just recently discovered. Pesky backstory. Not putting just enough in so it's enough to follow the story, but not so it ruins it for anybody that hasn't read it. That's hard work.
How do you come up with character names?
So a lot of them are people I know. At the beginning, I just stole a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of my friends' names have gone into them, or their married names, or their maiden names. Everything's gone in. But then it has to feel like the first name has to feel right. So often they change quite a bit. The first name is most important, I think. Often I'll start with a name and then I'll just keep on switching it until I find one that feels right. Robin, I think, was always Robin. I don't really know why. He just was. I think because it's not a standard male name, but I don't know. I can't explain it. He just felt like a Robin, and Freya felt like a Freya. We did swap, actually. He didn't used to be Butler. We did have to swap it because there was already one with the other name. And that took a bit of getting used to, getting my head around the fact that he was now called Butler. I was like, okay, yeah, okay, fine. But actually one of my friends is called Butler, so I didn't mind. But yeah, they're usually named after people.
Ian's saying Butler and West wants him to be 18 again and restart smoking. I think he's saying Butler and West sound like a cigarette company.
Yeah, that was the problem. It's trying not to sound it like a cigarette company or a sort of a luxury skincare brand. It's trying to make sure they don't. But it's Lambert and West, isn't it? The cigarette company. But yeah, yeah, there we are.
So we've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to ask you one of the group favourite questions before we finish.
Okay.
Which is, what are your most memorable moments as an author?
Oh, okay. I can remember. Yeah. My most memorable moment is being in Chandler's Ford Library. So I was unpublished. I was trying to get an agent. I was sat in Chandler's Ford Library on the floor. My son was reading a book, and I got an email through from my agent, who is now my agent now. And he had been one of the people, you know, when you send it out to agents, there's always one that you're like, I want that one. And Ed was that one. And I got an email from him saying, I love your book, let's meet. And I remember lying on the floor in Chandler's Ford Library, just lying back, just relief, basically. I just thought, that's it. If I can get Ed, I'm happy. So yeah, that's probably my most memorable moment, because I just was so relieved. I just thought, oh, thank God that I've got an agent. Well, I hadn't to that point, but I thought I could have an agent. Yeah, and then it all just flowed from there. So yeah, that's probably my most memorable moment. Not that I've told Ed that, but anyway.
Being in a library when that happens is a good place to be.
Yeah, well, surrounded by books. My son was reading something probably animal-based or train-based next to me, and we were both sat on the floor. And yeah, I just remember being slightly bored and checking my emails, and then I was like, oh, that's it. Thank God.
Sam says the hour's flown. Thank you for a great interview and for your suggestions for crime writing resources.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's been fun.
Well, before we finish, do you want to remind us about your series?
What it's called and everything.
All of that information again, yeah?
Yeah, so it's Butler and West series. The first one is called Last Place You Look. It's out in ebook now on Kindle and all the other places. And then you can pre-order paperback. That's out on the 6th of May. And then the second in the series is called Under a Dark Cloud, and that's out in October. And it's very good. I'm not supposed to say that it's my book, but yeah.
And it sounds like lots of people in the stream think it's very good as well.
Well, I hope so. I enjoyed writing it, so yeah. If just a little bit of that comes across, then that's the main thing.
That's like a really key thing, I think, isn't it? If you enjoy writing it, people are probably going to enjoy reading it.
Hope so. I hope so.
So then all that's left to say is thanks.
No, thank you very much. It has flown by. It's been really good fun. Yeah, it's been lovely to meet you. Hopefully we will meet in person at Harrogate.
Yeah, hopefully. Big